Forward. I hope that you will enjoy this foray into the beginnings of my work with horses. If you are new to horses, welcome. If you've been an equestrian for decades, welcome. If you have never touched a horse in your life, welcome as well. I'm not a trainer, not a competitive rider. I don't even own my own horse as of writing this. Yet horses have drawn me into their world, as they do for many who encounter them. This book is proof that you can start exploring the wonders of horses as an adult, and as someone who is not boss mare material. If you have ever doubted yourself, welcome. If you have ever wondered if things could be different, welcome. If you are perfectly fine with how things are going and picked this book up because it had the word horse on the cover, also welcome. Come, stand in a field of horses with me. Chapter 1. Intro. 3 White Horses. Years before I became closely acquainted with real horses, I had a vivid dream about them. I walked into a stable where I found 3 white horses, wide-eyed and snorting, waiting to be released from their stalls so they could gallop across the rolling pastures of my mind. I had the strongest feeling that they were connected to my life, and my life with the horses. I believe I have met the first 2, and they have changed me significantly. In many cultures, a white horse is a euphemism for death, so maybe I should not be so eager to meet the 3rd one. I met the first on a beautiful spring night as an undergraduate student. It was dead week, the week before finals, when students turn in last-minute essays and studied for the following week's final exams. A friend had invited a bunch of us to his house in the country for a cookout and yard games, followed by a small bonfire after dark. I enjoyed the relaxation after so much focused study earlier that day, but I was most excited about the field of horses just across the single-lane road from my friend's yard. "They're my neighbors," he offhandedly remarked, as if he'd never considered the vast privilege he enjoyed living across the street from horses. "They're okay to pet if they'll come up to you, but usually they're pretty far out in the pasture." I'd often looked longingly from afar at herds of horses, and I was not about to squander this opportunity. I scarfed down my dinner and then stood at the fence, waving a handful of ditch weeds in what I hoped was a tempting manner. The herd continued to graze. It grew dark. I returned to the group of fellow college students to help start the bonfire. That must be where I decided that shoes were no longer necessary. After they got it going, I remembered the texture of soft grass and warm asphalt on my feet as I walked back to the horse pasture. The herd was closer to the fence now, though still grazing at a distance from me. The white horse among them raised his head and looked at me for a moment before returning to grazing. The night was so still and quiet, I could hear them as they tore off clumps of grass and chewed, the gentle puffing sound of breath rising from one or the other every now and then. A hoof clacked softly against a rock as they moved across the landscape, one step at a time. I fell into a contented trance, leaning on the rough wooden fence, watching them. I looked up, and the sky was so full of stars. I had spent most of my year under the purple haze of the university streetlights. I hadn't seen the stars in many months. They caught my emotions unawares, and I suddenly felt happy and sad at the same time. Everything was so utterly alive there, under the stars in the silent evening. As I stood there, wondering at the sky, the horses stirred and began to move. The white one came first, leading the others in a line toward me. I stood straight, anticipating. They didn't hurry, but walked steadily closer until the white horse paused just within arm's reach. I stretched out my hand.